The concepts that we cover in this video will help save you lots of time as you start developing web parts and other solutions for SharePoint. Now, the basic concept is that SharePoint provides many building blocks and components that will help speed your development and furthermore make your code more efficient. So although SharePoint is actually built on ASP.NET, it provides much more in terms of controls and classes and functionality, and these components are mature, tested and proven. So my general advice is, don't recreate what already exists. So as you start developing with SharePoint, it is well worth investing a little effort up front to see what SharePoint actually provides and to use the classes and components if they are appropriate for your application. So here's an example. It may be tempting to write this type of code where you expect a list called My Custom List to exist in the web, and so you will try and obtain a reference to it. You might even use the new try-get-list method, and if it doesn't exist you might want to then recreate the list. And although the code itself isn't difficult to write, it's actually inefficient from your perspective as a developer, and it's also less than ideal from SharePoint's perspective as well, because for example we have list definitions that we can include in our solutions, so you don't need to write the code for creating lists. Then at another level we could actually include an event procedure or event receiver that traps the list deleting event to ensure that information workers cannot delete this list. But even that is less than ideal because the list definition could simply have an attribute that says allow deletion equals false, and that will inherently prevent the list from being deleted. Then your code that relies on it will be guaranteed to continue to run. So although none of the code I have shown is bad practice, my point is that there are sometimes more efficient and easier ways to achieve certain things if you spend some time thinking and researching. So here's another example. We could be tempted to connect to a list, let's say tasks, and to render each item in the list based on an if statement. So effectively we are looking for tasks that are due in less than 1 month's time. Now this code would run perfectly well, and we can iterate through these list items and interrogate their values. But that's not very efficient from SharePoint's point of view, because you will have retrieved all of the list items and then decided what to do with each one. Instead, you should consider writing a camel query so that you only populate your SP list item collection with the appropriate items to start with, and you could then iterate through them and output your table as shown in this example. But even that isn't optimal, because what we could in fact do is remove the need for us to render the table by using perhaps the list view by query component. So this is a well tried and tested component, and effectively we write the same camel statement and we literally use that as the source for the list view by query. So with very minimal code we actually achieve the same results as the first two examples that we showed. So there are many more examples like this, and you'll be well advised to investigate what SharePoint actually provides before reinventing the wheel every time you create a new application.